All right, shalom, shalom. Giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makah HaKodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, do rule well. Peace, love, and blessings to the elect. All right, wherever you may be, scattered throughout abroad. All right, and blessings to the very few sisters listening, learning, and believing. You know, as we always give blessing to the brothers out on the front lines. You know, pushing this truth. All right, in all sincerity, faith, and honesty. And this just be a quick prophecy, a recap, of this week. It's a prominent part of prophecy. America's allies, all right, is turning against them. Okay, Babylon the Great, as prophesied in the scriptures. And we're gonna get this real fast because we told you this. No one could see it happening. All right. NATO, the EU, NATO turning on America. But the Lord told his prophets, started from our apostles on down, is the book of the prophet Amos, chapter 3, verse 7. It says, "Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets." All right, and who he chooses to reveal it to, his secrets, those are the prophets, and they're to go speak, all right, concerning this matter. All right, which is why we out there. All right, verse 8 says, "The lion hath roared, who will not fear? The Lord God hath spoken, who can but prophesy?" Published in the places of Ashdod, and in the palaces of Ashdod, and in the palaces of the land of Egypt, and say, "Assemble yourselves upon the mountains of Samaria, and behold the great tumultus in the midst thereof, and the oppressed in the midst thereof." All right. So this word is to be published. All right. And that's what's been happening. Started from my apostles. You heard it from us first. You got all these analysts coming out, speaking concerning these matters. But the Lord had already revealed these things to his servants, the prophets. So we're just gonna get this quick recap here. It says Trump tells countries basically receiving oil through Strait of Hormuz, go grab it. And this one here, it says Trump to allies who need access to Strait of Hormuz, go get your own oil. All right, so here it is. He went in there. He started he basically disrupted the global system, the global order. And what he tells his allies, go get your own oil, when he's the one that started it. Right? It's your responsibility. Okay? Now these countries are facing, a global depression. They're looking at their populations facing famine. They're watching their economies getting ready to collapse. Society, so he basically disrupted the whole global order, which is by design, because in order to establish a new world order, the current global order has to be disrupted, it has to be cast down. So this will be the catalyst, as it appears thus far, that will reset the global order. All right, and it's going to start by the money. That's why we always go into Revelation, the 13th chapter and the 16th verse, because this will disrupt the global economy, and therefore everyone will be issued this device by the way of a digital currency. All right, doing away with the old system. Revelation 13 and 16, it says, "And he calleth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead." So in order for this to come to pass, because the Lord say he will try the whole world. Matter of fact, let's read verse 17. It says, "And that no man might buy or sell, say that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." So when you go to, I'm going to get it in the NLT. When you go to Revelation, the 3rd chapter, in the 10th verse in the NLT, it says, "Because you have obeyed my command to persevere, I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world to test them, those who belong to this world." So the test we just read right here in Revelation, the 13th chapter, the 16th verse, this is that test. The hour of temptation, where you will be tempted to pledge your allegiance to Satan, basically, to this NWO, and to submit to the image, all right, of Baal, this New World Order image, to submit to it, pledging your allegiance, because, you're going to be pressed and tempted by hunger, all right, by death, fear of your life, because this thing is going to be made mandatory eventually under the penalty of death if you don't take it. And death doesn't always have to literally be, a physical unalive, but you just be basically, left out of society. You'll be basically as dead. But there will be martyrs, those that don't take it. But death also mean too, like you'll just be dead to society. You won't exist. All right, you won't be able to be identified. Okay, but the Lord said He gonna be with us. So again, Trump disrupting the global order. All right, he told his allies to go get it after he started the fire. All right, and then this is one right here. Italy refuses U.S. aircraft use of Sicily base for Middle East operations. Italy denies use of Sicily Air Base to U.S. planes carrying weapons for Iran because their allies, their EU allies, want absolutely nothing to do with this war. And what people don't understand, which they do, but it's figure of speech. The EU, they're terrified of Russia, man. They want nothing to do with Russia, man. They are terrified of Russia, which is why they've formed this alliance, this post-World War II alliance, man. Simply because of Russia. So let's go from there. So we just read that about Italy. Italy, one of America's allies, the EU, part of the EU, won't allow America to use its airspace to support that war. And another thing, too, was that you saw that Iran, their range of missiles is capable of hitting certain areas in Europe. And you seen what Iran did to the GCC states, all right, the Gulf states. Every military base that was in that region that was that allowed America to use their airspace, well, they were hit, man. They were targets. So Italy and the EU, they trying to avoid that, because the military base, if America using your airport or your airspace, hey, that's now a military target for Iran. All right, so America's allies want nothing to do with it. All right, we're gonna get right to the point. So we saw Italy, and of course, from our apostles on down. All right, Italy is one of the horns. Slovakia photos popped up, but Italy is one of the horns, man. I had that photo of the depiction of the whore that rides upon a beast, but want to go through my photos here. With Revelation 17:12, it says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest are the 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as of yet. And Italy will be considered one of those horns, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast." The beast to hold this whole EU, NATO. It says, "These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them." Because ultimately, the Lord is going to return in the midst of this global conflict, all right, this world war. And they're going to stop fighting against each other and try to fight the Lamb of the Most High, which is Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, his return is going to be in the midst, in the heat of this battle. It says, for he is the Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, it's talking about EU, right? The original. It says, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So we see now how, again, the Lord told us that this would happen, and what we just went out and prophesied it. But now as we get closer to the end, you seeing why Trump tells allies, go get your own oil. His own allies is not allowing them to use the airspace for the. So they're going to see that America's the problem. And as prophesied again. Verse 16, and the 10 horns thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For the Most High hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. All right. The point is verse 16. They're going to hate her. So America's own allies is even going to come up against it and shoot missiles upon it. And you see it. All right. Trump has completely isolated America. So that's pretty much it. Lord willing, edifying, giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai. Till next time we say, Shalom to you.